They are ready to go at a moment's notice.
Car wrecks, domestics, we're standing there right side by side with the firefighters and the police.
Paramedics like Janine Mackey responding day in and day out to dangerous situations.
Most people assumed that because we're first responders that obviously we were covered.
However, many are not covered, having no line of duty death benefits like the $80,000 family members of police officers and firefighters receive.
It makes me wonder a little bit, what if something happens to me?
A question meaning even more now as she takes care of her 3 teenage children, one who also plans a career in EMS, all while dealing with the loss of her husband, Jessamine County paramedic John Mackey.
My children have often asked, why does the death of their father mean less or something different than the death of the firefighters or the police?
It is an issue now being discussed by lawmakers here in Frankfort, working to better protect the families of those who dedicate their lives to helping others.
Having it hit so close to home, what is one to do but to try to do something to affect and help the family?
Senator Tom Buford of Nicholasville sponsoring Senate Bill 43, also known as the John Mackey Memorial Act, if made into law, giving paramedics the same line of duty death benefits as the other first responders.
It's just the right thing to do. It is the responsible thing to do.
A fitting tribute to a man who loved helping others.
Would be a wonderful legacy for him, that he could continue to help.
In Frankfort, Hillary Thornton, WKYT.
Former Governor Steve Beshear saying today that current Governor Matt Bevin has declared war on both his family and his administration.
Because he started this food fight that he enjoys instead of governing by calling us liars, by criticizing my wife, and now by ginning up a political investigation to try to sully our reputation. And quite simply, I'm not going to stand back and let him do that. I'm proud of what we did for 8 years.
The former governor strongly denying accusations made by Bevin, then going on an attack of his own, calling the current governor a, quote, vindictive bully who is attacking the Beshear family and administration to distract from his actions and decisions made since taking office.
Every time he throws a falsehood at me, I'm going to hit him between the eyes with the truth about him.
Beshear's claims include that Bevin coerced university presidents into a budget cut agreement, as well as that he is unethically raising funds to cover his campaign debt, and that he bullied Democratic legislators to switch parties.
And threatened to cancel road projects in their districts if they didn't comply. When they refused, he said he'll destroy them. And folks, I understand that the FBI may be looking into that kind of conduct.
Beshear says many advised him to just sit back and ignore the accusations by Bevin, with today's news conference being the last thing he wanted to do. However, he says he will not sit back and be a punching bag for the next 4 years. In Frankfort, Hillary Thornton, WKYT. The Attorney General's lawsuit against the governor back in court. Governor Bevin's general counsel agreeing that while he hopes cuts help fund the pension problem, the governor does not have the power to pick where the money from the cuts goes, saying it must go into a general fund until next legislature can decide its purpose.
The governor can, and I believe he should, go ahead and release these funds. It's $18.7 million. That's critical to the universities. It's not going to really change the overall numbers for the next budget, and as the governor's general counsel admitted today, it would just sit.
The governor's attorney focusing on the difference in the terms appropriation and allocation, agreeing the only entity allowed to appropriate money is the General Assembly. However, once the spending ceiling is set, they say KRS 48620 gives the governor the ability to spend less than that ceiling, making downward revisions where he deems necessary. They went on to say the governor is hoping to get rid of the use it or lose it mindset.
Let's don't just spend all this money because it's been appropriated to you. Let's try to save some of it so we can try to solve this pension crisis.
Beshear arguing this gives power outside of the governor's authority, claiming what the governor's council calls a downward revision is in fact a reduction. Then showing this release from the governor that used the term reduction in the title.
After today's hearing, Attorney General Beshear once again saying that this lawsuit is nothing personal, despite the growing family feud between Governor Bevin and the Beshears.
I put my hand on my family Bible and I swore an oath to defend Kentucky's Constitution. And I truly believe that the governor's actions violate that Constitution. That gives me no choice but to take action.
In Frankfort, Hillary Thornton, WKYT.
While that Kentucky Supreme Court ruling was on Louisville's ordinance, it is having an immediate impact here in Lexington, making the city's recent minimum wage increase invalid. According to that ruling, the court says wages are regulated at the state level and that Louisville's ordinance conflicts with state law. After that ruling coming down, Mayor Jim Gray's office releasing a statement saying, quote, "This opinion effectively prevents cities, including Lexington, from increasing the minimum wage. Lexington's local minimum wage ordinance has been invalidated." The city spokesperson going on to say that is effective immediately. Last fall, in a 9-6 vote, the Lexington Fayette Urban County Council increasing minimum wage in Lexington to $8.20 an hour. Next July, it would have increased again to $9.15 an hour. The current federal minimum wage sits at $7.25. Councilmember Jennifer Masadi is a big advocate of the increase and says they knew that this was a possibility from the start.
What I feel bad about is it's those that are, as a result of this decision today, those are less fortunate that are having money taken out of their pockets that they thought that they'd be getting.
City leaders say it will now be up to individual employers to decide if they will cut back the pay of workers who have already benefited from the increase that went into effect on July 1st. Councilmember Masadi says while she is disappointed in this ruling, she does accept it and is now calling on state lawmakers to pass a bill that would increase the minimum wage. In Lexington, Hillary Thornton, WKYT.
Investigate what the true facts are.
House Speaker Greg Stumbo announcing the formation of an investigative committee looking into what he is calling potentially illegal actions by Governor Matt Bevin.
I can't sit by and allow these serious matters to go unlooked at.
The governor's office immediately responding.
Very, very, very desperate people pull stunts like Speaker Stumbo just did.
Some of those accusations surrounding an alleged December meeting at the governor's mansion in which they say Governor Bevin made threats to a representative asking him to switch political parties.
I've been at every single one of those meetings, never any threat whatsoever.
Speaker Stumbo saying, however, the most troubling is the delay in the East Brandon Road project, that project falling in Representative Russ Meyer's district. Russ Meyer being one of the representatives who has reported threats from the governor.
The whole scenario of taking projects in retaliation, wasting taxpayers' money, it's a very serious allegation.
While Speaker Stumbo says this committee is not political, the governor's office is saying differently, especially considering the time of this launch and the possible impacts here at the Capitol.
This is a political farce, what is happening here. We are 34 days from an election.
The governor's office strongly denying all these claims, releasing this video with what they say is a voicemail left by Speaker Stumbo to a Republican member of the new committee.
Tried to coerce legislators. I don't know if he did or if he did, but because of Legislative Independence Day, I think we at least ought to take a look at it and, see what happened. I'm sure the story's probably not as bad as maybe it was portrayed.
At the Capitol, Hillary Thornton, WKYT. Governor Matt Bevin says today marks a new chapter here at the Capitol and for the entire state. The House taking on a much different look. The new Majority Leader, Representative Jeff Hoover, saying last night's election results showing that Kentuckians are ready for that change. The new Majority Leader, Representative Jeff Hoover.
I'm a big Cubs fan.
Feeling victorious today, not just still from his Cubs World Series win, but also after the Republicans taking control of the House for the first time in nearly a century, claiming 17 Democratic seats and 6 open seats, bringing 23 new representatives to Frankfort.
It's a big challenge. We're ready for it. The people want things done differently. They want a different tone, and we're ready to lead in that effort.
The goal to flip the House achieved, plus longtime Speaker of the House Greg Stumbo defeated. 2 election night results. Governor Matt Bevin says he was encouraged to see.
Greg Stumbo and I differences? I don't know what, no. I mean, I was delighted to see him defeated because he's been an obstacle. He truly has been a stumbling block, all pun intended, to the Commonwealth for a long time.
So it certainly will be a much different look here inside of the legislative chambers. Both Senator Stivers and Representative Hoover say we can all expect to see a much more fluid work process between the House and the Senate. In Frankfort, Hillary Thornton, WKYT.